Amazon has released the new Fire TV 4K Max that brings a couple new features. One of them is a new ambient mode. Overall, I like some of the updates, but there are a few things I'm not a big fan of. So we'll talk about what those are, what's new with this version, and my recommendations at the end. The new Fire TV 4K is $59.99, which is $5 more than the previous version and $10 more than the regular 4K. Overall, I would spend that extra $10 for these new features that are coming up, but not a lot has changed with it. When you look at the design, they're pretty much the same thing. You have rounded corners, makes it look sleeker and cooler. Now, one thing that hasn't changed with these is that it still has a micro USB on it. Micro USB. Can someone please send Amazon a memo or something letting them know what we moved on beyond that connector? We're like using USB-C now. I mean, even my toothbrush charges with USB-C at this point. The Fire TV 4K Max brings a new 2 gigahertz processor. Now, when using it, it does feel a little bit faster. Not a lot faster from the previous version, and a lot of that has to do with how slow certain things load up. So the interface itself kind of slows things down. Now, where that processor is going to come in handy is when it comes to gaming and some of the new Alexa AI features that are coming out. The new Fire TV 4K Max has 16 gigabytes of storage, which is twice as much as the previous version. The new Max also supports Wi-Fi 6E, and if you're not familiar with that, Wi-Fi 6E adds a new 6 gigahertz channel that devices are starting to use more. And with that channel, since it's less congested and it's a faster channel, you can get faster speeds out of it. And if you listen to Amazon, they're saying how it will give you increased speeds and less buffering. They're not wrong in saying that it's that much faster than Wi-Fi 6, but most people it's not going to make a difference. On my 200 megabit per second connection, having that little extra speed, really not going to cut it. So I don't know if I'd upgrade for that. Another change is the updated remote. Not a lot of difference from the previous remote. There are some new buttons. You have an up and down button on there. You have a settings button, and then you have like a previous app button that jumps back to previous apps. Another change is to the buttons. You have the Prime Video, Netflix, and Disney Plus and Hulu are gone. Instead, you have DirecTV and Peacock. I get adding Peacock to this, but DirecTV? Okay, why? Why couldn't they just leave that button open maybe so we can pick whatever service we want, or use it to trigger routines for your smart home? Go crazy and let it control multiple actions. Never gonna happen. The nice thing about the 4K Max is that you can control it with your voice. On the remote, you do have the Alexa button there, and you can request to open up apps, to search for shows, to control different features within apps. With Hulu, you have your basic play, pause controls, but you can also call up individual networks and channels. Now, with Alexa's upcoming AI features, it's going to be more conversational to do searches. You'll also be able to do searches based on the type of movie and even the type of scenes you want to see within that movie. With this, you're going to have a lot more options for search. You can ask for a movie based on a scene. You can ask for a movie, like one of Amazon's examples was asking for action movies with car chases. The new 4K Max supports all the video and audio formats you would want. You have your Ultra HD 4K, your Dolby Vision. For audio, you have your Dolby Digital Surround sound, and it supports Dolby Atmos. The 4K Max supports all the major streaming services that you would want. You'll even see recommendations from the different services on the home page. When setting up the Max, you get to this screen where Amazon lets you know that all the different streaming apps are free to download, but some of them will require you paying for subscription. In using it, I think the image quality looks great across the different services. With 4K content, it looks nice and sharp. When you get into something like Netflix, if you're only getting 1080p, yeah, I mean, it's 1080p on a 4K TV. But I have no complaints about the image quality versus my Apple TV. Now, looking at my Apple TV, though, it does have a color calibration feature that calibrates the Apple TV colors to Hollywood standards using your phone. It would be kind of nice to see something like that in the Fire TV 4K Max so that you know your colors are spot on. Now, wait to improve your sound and take advantage of your echoes is to pair them with the Fire TV 4K Max. You can do this with a single echo or a pair of echoes. Even Echo Dots sound better than a lot of TVs. Now you pair them with the full-size echo, you definitely get a full sound out of it. If you have the Max plugged into a ARC or eARC HDMI, you can pass audio from gaming consoles and other devices through the Fire TV stick to paired echoes. I made a whole video on how to set up theater mode. I'll put the link in the description, along with links to the 4K Max if you want to check it out. Instead of pairing it with echoes, you can also pair the Max with the new Fire TV soundbar. That's $119 for a 24-inch soundbar that has 2 speakers in it. It's capable of doing a virtual surround sound. You can pair it directly to the Fire TV 4K Max. You can use Bluetooth with it or run an HDMI from your TV to it. I did mention earlier that the updated processor would help with gaming. If you go into the gaming section, you can take advantage of the games that can be played on device with the Fire TV stick, or with a paired controller, you can take advantage of the Luna cloud gaming, Amazon's console-like gaming that happens in the cloud. Now with your Prime membership, you get access to certain Luna games that you could play for free, or you can pick one of their subscription plans and play a whole range of games. Now for smart home control, the 4K Max is a great addition to an Echo smart home. From it, you can talk to Alexa and ask to turn on or off your devices. If someone rings the doorbell, you can bring that camera up right on the TV. Now let's talk about the new feature, Ambient Mode. I like this feature. It's pretty cool. What it does is when your TV is idle, it basically turns it into a big Echo show, complete with widgets. You can pick to have a background that is static images. You can pick some of the moving backgrounds. You can pick your own images. And there's even the option that I haven't tried yet, and I'm not sure if it's implemented, is to use AI to create your different images. The widgets are interactive widgets, so if you do select them, you can actually scroll through items. You can select your smart devices, bring cameras up, or control individual devices. Overall, I see it as a nice feature. I'm curious to see how third-party widgets get implemented. Now with the widgets, you can have large widgets, you could have small widgets, and you can have your widgets hide automatically or stay up all the time. One of the things that's nice is Amazon does warn you in the settings that certain settings may not be good for OLED TVs and burn it. For example, always having widgets up, you could get burn-in. So you might want to have those come up initially when it goes into ambient mode and then hide them. Now for screensavers, there is a large selection. There's over 2,000 pieces of artwork that you can pick from. The different animated ones are pretty cool. Really, I'm surprised how many choices there are. Now to call up ambient mode, you can use your voice and the Alexa button and just ask for it, or you could do a long press on the home button and select it. There is also the setting that you could go in and change when it automatically turns on. Now, what are your thoughts on this ambient mode? Is that something you would use? Personally, I'm not into it. My Samsung TVs had stuff. I just power off when I'm done with it. Now let's talk about the interface. With the Fire TV, you can set it up so that you have different profiles. Next to profiles, you have a search button. This is important to know because that's where you're going to find the different things you want to access quickly, such as gaming or jumping to your apps or different types of content. Next to the home screen, you have the live TV section that's going to take you to live channels that are playing TV shows, sports, news. There's really a lot of stuff you could pick from. Under My Stuff is where you find your purchases and rentals. Next to that, you can have your frequently used apps. Here you can pick what you want to go in there. Now let's take a look at the main homepage. I'm a longtime Apple TV user and I really like the interface and the way it's set up. You press a button once, it's going to take you to your apps. You press it again and it's going to take you to the Watch Now section. And the Watch Now section's great. It keeps track of your shows across different streaming services. It shows you some of Apple services, the different subscriptions you could subscribe to, but it keeps it all content related on that screen. Overall, I'm not a big fan of the Fire TV interface. I feel like it's trying to do way too much. And also, as you're scrolling through, just have some space built into it. I don't know, everything just feels stacked and just chunks of stuff and recommendations. And one of the biggest things I don't like, and we'll talk about now, is the ads that you see. I feel like I'm constantly being sold to. In testing this and using the previous generation Fire TV 4K Max, I saw advertisements for cute cat screensavers. What? Cute cat screensavers? And all kinds of other stuff. I just feel like they're always trying to pitch something new to me. The ads are so bad that the second row down is sponsored content. I can't even get a few rows of suggestions before I'm being pitched to subscribe to something. And then you just continue down and it's just after a few blocks, another sponsored section. So not a big fan of that. So if you're someone who uses an Apple TV, you might be put off by that. If you haven't, and this is your first streaming device or you've been using them for a while, it's probably not going to make a difference to you. Now, my recommendations. One of the biggest benefits of the Fire TV sticks is their price. For what you pay and what you get, they are a great deal. The Fire TV 4K Max, this is the only Fire TV stick I'd recommend. Going with one of the 1080p versions to save a few bucks, I wouldn't do it. Going with the regular 4K for $10 less, I just want the extra features like ambient mode. Other than price, another great feature is that this is a good streaming device. If you're looking for something to download apps and stream and you don't need all the other stuff with it, you're not gonna go wrong with the Fire TV stick. My mom uses a Fire TV stick. I don't try to convince her to get an Apple TV because she has an iPhone. It doesn't make sense. This works with her Echoes and it's a lot more affordable. Also, I do wanna say this, I would definitely buy this over the new Fire TV Cube. I think that's overpriced for the features. I did make a video on that, which I'll put down in the description. Now, if you own the previous version of the 4K Max, I don't know if I'd really update. I personally wouldn't because ambient mode doesn't offer enough benefit for me. I don't need the extra storage with it. So might not make sense to update. If you're buying your first one, you're gonna get a great device. Now, if you're an Apple user like me, you might be put off with the interface. And it feels cluttery and busy, and you're being sold to constantly. Now, what streaming device are you currently using? Are you Team Apple, Team Amazon, Team Google? Let us know in the comments section. Now that you've seen the new 4K Max, you should check out this video to learn some tips on what you can do with these Fire TV sticks. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye.